lesson on indirect object pronouns. So far I've done direct object pronouns. We did those on Monday. Those are the different ways of saying it. We've done indirect object pronouns. Those are the people that receive the action of whatever you're going to be doing. Last semester we did reflexive pronouns, which look almost exactly like indirect object pronouns, but they're a special case of indirect object pronouns. They're the people receiving the action if you do the action back to oneself. Remember that? Is a keyword self. So I washed my hands, so I am doing it back to myself. That means it's reflexive from what used to be indirect. Like I say, I washed Isaac's hands. I would use indirect because my action is going to him, but if I'm doing it back to myself, it's a special case which is called reflexive. We've gone through 3 different types of forms. Now, what we're going to talk about today is how to deal with them when you have both in the exact same sentence. Judah, yes. I gave you a formula for writing a sentence with the reflexive pronoun in Spanish. What is my main formula?
It is subject plus pronoun plus verb.
You guys remember that formula?
I do.
Good. Because I'm going to add to it. The formula stays the same. Subject, the pronoun, then the verb. But in the cases where you can put 2 pronouns in the sentence, I gave it to him. I still follow the formula, but I will do the indirect first and the direct second. I gave the cookie to you. If I was writing in Spanish, yo doy la galleta a ti. Now, if I remember correctly yesterday, I told you a great way to find the indirect object is look for the magic egg, correct? And when I told you the direct object, I told you it was the noun after verb. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, Judah, what's the direct object in that sentence?
Good. Guy.
Galleta. What would I replace that with all my 4 choices? Lola, los, las.
Go. Oh yeah, there's an and in the not.
And it says all right.
Hey,
Just hold it.
Lance, what's my indirect object in that sentence? What would replace ati for my indirect object pronouns? Okay. Now, I'm going to rewrite the sentence. Following the formula. Lily, what's the first thing I'm going to write in my sentence? Which is? Very good. What's the next thing I write in my sentence? Formula. What is it, Nate?
Indirect.
What is it?
Oh. Oh, take.
Take.
No, te, la, guy.
No.
No. No, te, la, boy.
Yo te la doy. I gave it to you. Yo te la doy.
Well, what about the guy?
That's why there's an X through it, because we replaced the cookie with it.
Oh, right, because it was already implied in the sentence before. You were already talking about the guy.
Excellent.
I forget that.
So, I give it to you. Yo te la doy. Does this make sense?
Really short was the sentence.
No, it really does, doesn't it?
First hoping.
Now, they have special commands, like if they're really mad or they're really demanding, they'll do a special formula. See if you guys can figure out what this sentence says. There's 3 words in there. Dámelo. Dámelo. What?
Give me it.
Give me it. Exactly what that says. They use that form when they're going to order it to you. Dámelo. Dígame. Diga. Tell. Dígame. Dígame la verdad. Tell me the truth. Dígame. So, I want you guys to understand indirect object, direct object. Do you guys get that so far?
Yes, sir.
Good. Because now we're going to talk about some modifications of the formula. And I'm not going to use fancy terminology in here. I'm going to use terminology that makes sense. Here's an exception. If double L words, the indirect object will change to say because they don't like too many L's in a row. Calvin said the truth to him. He told him the truth. I put a little bit of awkward thing, but because it's going to be easy to translate this word for word in Spanish. Calvin dice la verdad a él. Keep on using black. Oh, well, that's black. And that's purple. I want you to find the direct object pronoun, or you can put an X over it and put right over top of it the direct object pronoun. Replace the direct object. Yes. I want you to put the indirect object up there, put an X through it, and tell me what the pronoun would be above it. What's the direct object?
This one?
I don't know. Well, they don't. Okay, and what's the pronoun that replace it? Right underneath. Excellent. Woo. Excellent. So we identified what they are. We got the pronouns correct. Good job on that one. So if I was to write this as a shorter sentence, Come and Leila dice. Doesn't sound good on the ears to a native Hispanic speaker. This is what I was talking about as an example of a double L words. Lay and la. Don't like it.
What do we say?
Exactly. What do we say? See how he did that? That was clever on Judah. I like that. That was a fun. What do we say? So in Spanish, to make it sound better, they'll say, Calvin, say la dice. Only happens when there's double L words.
Is that what the reflexive is?
I think, I'm not sure, but I think the origins of the say here did come from the double L type of concept. I would assume that's where it came from eventually, or evolution-wise. So, all right, Calvin. Okay. This may seem unrelated, but it really is very related to what we're doing. You guys remember the present progressive?
Yes.
With the ando, that's right.
S star.
Quick review of the present progressive. That was the star plus the verb with the ing endings, right? Which was ando, oriendo, or in very special cases, yndo. You guys remember that? When there's 3 vowels in a row, we can't have the eyes, we have to blah, blah, blah. Okay. I am talking. Can anybody tell me how to say that in Spanish? Close. No, not yo hablo, because I just told you the present progressive. With the end. Yo estoy hablando. You guys remember doing this before? Oh, okay, good. This, my friends, when there's 2 verbs, is called a verb phrase. When there's 2 verbs, there is 2, that's a verb phrase. Let me give you another verb phrase. You may have forgotten this one, but I think you guys can translate it. Voy a estudiar.
Here.
No, and no. Huh? So I need more than that because what does boy mean? Close. Nate. I'm going to study. How many verbs do you guys see in here? 2. What's that called? A verb phrase, that's right. This is when I say a lot. Quiero comer.
I want to eat.
Exactly, I want to eat. How many verbs do you see in there? What's that make it, Jasmine? Verb phrase. Section number 2 to this formula. If use verb phrase. Pronouns don't have to go before phrase, or if you want to be really cool, attached at end.
Like love horse, right?
Kind of. Let me give you an example here. Ready? Quiero comer una hamburguesa. Abby, what's that in English? Abby, how'd you do that? I didn't see your mouth moving and got a lot deeper and you threw your voice. I get it. You're the ventriloquist and that's the dummy. How do you, what's this in English? I want to eat a hamburger. How do I say I want to eat it? What's my direct object in this sentence? Well,
hamburger.
you're getting way ahead, but you're right. It's la. Quiero comer. We already said this is a verb phrase. So the way we've been studying everything, this is 100% correct. Pronoun. I can put the yo in front, but it's assumed. Yo, or yo la quiero comer. Any questions on that? That's what we've been studying this whole week. Subject, the subject yo, it just is implicit because that's the only thing go with quiero. Pronoun, la, verb, or verb phrase. Does anybody have a problem with that? Yeah.
So we don't have to like change anything about the verb phrase?
No. Does everybody understand that? That should be reviewed. But you have a second option if you wish to use it. And that would be yo quiero comer la. If used verb phrase, pronouns can, don't have to, can go before the phrase la quiero comer, or attached at the end. Just like you guys all understood Dámelo. I got a verb and then the pronouns. Yeah. Why did it la? Oh, because they'll actually attach it as part of the word when they talk, and that's one of the ways they use to talk faster. So they don't pause between comer la, it says comer la. So that's why they get pick up their speed with their speaking. Yeah.
So how does this have anything to do with the present progressive thing?
Well, the present progressive was to be an introduction to remind you what a verb phrase is.
Oh, okay. So we don't have to
I can say,
change
and so I wanted to start off with that one. The one reason I use the quiero is you're going to have an exercise today, and it's going to ask you to do 6 sentences, and it's going to have the sentences quiero comer on every single one of them. And then, like, number 1 is going to say la hamburguesa. And you're going to have to write that sentence with the direct object pronoun before the verb phrase. So it'll be la quiero comer. La, or maybe next one would be tacos. So you're going to say los quiero comer. So you can have 6 exercises like that. And then right below it, you can do the exact same 6 exercises, but at this time, you're going to attach it at the end of the sentence. So you have to write both ways. So the present progressive was to introduce you guys to, remind you what a verb phrase was and showing you've already been studying verb phrases. I just never called them verb phrases. So that's why I did this. That's why I reviewed this, because we've seen them before. That's a natural lead to the one you have to use for today's assignment. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So we don't have to put the yo at the front of the sentences?
You never have to put a yo on any yo verbs, because quiero with the o ending only can go with yo. Boy can only go with yo. Estoy only can go with yo. So there's actually 2 other ones that you don't have to put the subject in front of them. Can you think of them? That only that one subject can go with that ending. Can anybody think of one where only one subject can go with one specific ending? Huh? Nosotros. Nosotros can only go with the amos, A-M-O-S, or emos can only go with nosotros, and when there's one more. Who said it? I think I heard Spencer whisper it. You sure you didn't whisper 2? That's what, 2, yeah. I knew you said it. Alright. So, I gave you guys an assignment. This is where 20 points is have a normal 10-point assignment. In Schoology, it is set up like a test where you guys can have 5 or 10 cents. It's a homework assignment. It's not a test, but it's going to be self-checking. It does start off asking you to review the present progressive, and it's going to give you some present progressive exercises to do. Reason number 1, it's a verb phrase. It's one of the biggest verb phrases you study. Number 2 reason I did that, there's no reason to start forgetting stuff just because it's not in our current unit. So I'm going to keep on recycling things to keep you guys up to date on it. Then there's some exercises where you just have to find the direct object in the sentence and just write the pronoun. Somewhere it's just the indirect object pronoun. Indirect, it's the easiest thing ever. All you have to do is find the magic A, and it's right there. It's a roadmap to where it's at. Then there's going to be some exercises where you have to write both in there, and then the last 2 exercises are going to be verb phrases where you can write before or after the verb phrase. Any questions? No? Kevin, would you do me a favor? Stop.